Phil and Rye on Listen Up this Friday morning, Ryan. I want to shout out to Austin Anita because he is in the house.
He's in the
There's nothing
building.
like just right across the table. I'm looking at him. There's nothing like celebrating High Chroma Day. That's what every day is, right? High Chroma Day, Ryan. And we just appreciate all his hard work. We want to remind everybody again, without Austin, there would be no Listen Up podcast discussing UConn women's basketball. He's the founder. We like to call him the founder of Listen Up. So, again, shout out to Austin, Ryan. I want to take this moment to thank him for everything.
Yeah, he's definitely done a lot for us from the start. So definitely shout out to him. Appreciate all the hard work he's done for us in the past. And yeah, every day, like you mentioned, celebrate High Chroma Day.
He's giving me a fist bump in the air. So I guess that's a thank you and time to move on to our discussion. This is actually the last check-in, Ryan, presented by Dempsey's and Sportsland as we preview the next game. And unfortunately, some very bad news, Ryan. I will not, and it doesn't mean you have to handle this episode yourself, but I will not be able to make it for the game recap on Sunday.
Yeah, so I guess I'm going solo on Sunday. So I'll be recapping it right after the game. And yeah, I mean, I can't wait. It's going to be a really good game against NC State.
What do you have? What's your matchups that you're looking for, as this team provided us with arguably the game of the year last postseason in March Madness, as UConn went on to win in what was a double overtime. So I saw a comment earlier this week that said that North Carolina State could be looking for some revenge. And I think that's very true. We'll save our predictions here for the end of the show, like always on the last check-in, and then obviously your star player of the game, Ryan, a new challenge for this season. But let's get into your key matchups. What do you have for me?
Well, NC State's 4-0, but if you look at their opponents so far, they haven't really had any competition. So UConn's going to be their first real test of the season. I'm sure, like you mentioned, they want some revenge from the game last year in that Elite Eight when they lost to UConn in double overtime. Game of the year. That was an incredible game last year. You look at NC State's roster, it's a very experienced team. 5 seniors, 2 juniors, starting lineup, 6'2" senior forward Jada Boyd, 6-foot senior forward Jakia Brown Turner, 6'3" senior center Camille Hobby, and then the 2 guards, junior guard Diamond Johnson and junior guard Madison Hayes. So pretty experienced starting lineup. They have a lot of size down there in the paint, starting 2 forwards and a center. And their bench is pretty experienced as well. Of course, all 5 starters are returning players also coming off their bench. NC State relies a lot on their bench. They get quite a bit of minutes through their first 4 games. So I would expect their bench to play some pretty big minutes against UConn as well. But coming off the bench, you got senior forward Mimi Collins, senior center River Baldwin, and then 4 sophomores, 3 guards Jessica Timmons, Azia James, and Sanaya Rivers, and 1 center Sophie Hart. So the whole team is returning players except for 1, and that's Sanaya Rivers from South Carolina, a pretty familiar name from last year. But like I said, this is an experienced team with a lot of size and depth. But UConn provided against Texas. It's a little concerning, maybe NC State's size, but watching that Texas game, they dealt with Texas's size and depth pretty well. So if UConn continues to play their great defense and offense like they've been doing, I don't really think they're going to have that big of a problem against NC State.
Yeah, you're right about that. Appreciate that breakdown. And again, did you see North Carolina State, that is, did you see who they played on November the 13th? Right in our backyard, Mount St. Mary's. Actually, it was
I
North
did, yeah.
Carolina. Yeah, but it was Mount St. Mary's. So you're right. I think that this is a big last check-in, only because um the big takeaway, I could break down the rosters, the head coaches. You can do whatever you want, right? And we appreciate all the comments. We can't wait to see what you all have to say about this big game, number 10 and number 5 teams. But I think the biggest takeaway, Ryan, is we have a feeling of comfort now, because just think if UConn wouldn't have played Texas. Just think if they wouldn't have played Texas leading up to this game, I think there would be a lot more question marks, just my opinion. I think it's much more comforting. And as far as AZ Fudd, I think her confidence is it gave her a big boost against Texas. I think her confidence is way up there along with the rest of these players on this team coming off fresh off of that Texas victory. So what I had to say about that, again, coming off of the win against the Texas team, I really can't see a lot of question marks surrounding this Huskies team because we know what they're capable of doing. We already know that. We have for going back to last year. I know we were kind of shaky once Paige Beckers went down, but we're starting to see them progress quicker than I thought. I can tell you that right now. So I think the biggest takeaway on this last check-in, you said it right. What's North Carolina State going to look like? Because this is actually, I mean, Quinnipiac, if I'm saying that right, a team, their first game. Then they had Elon, then they had Mount St. Mary's, and then Charlotte. So that's the biggest takeaway actually that I really have, boring or not. This is actually the first real test for North Carolina State.
Yeah, and I think that's big. That's why the Texas game was so big for UConn, and they were able to play the whole game, tough and physical defense, of course, and grind that game out until the very end. That was a huge win for UConn. And like you mentioned, if Texas didn't beat UConn or they didn't even play UConn, I would be a lot more nervous going into this matchup, and I wouldn't really know what to expect. But all of those questions and concern, I think, falls on NC State because they haven't faced a ranked opponent yet, let alone UConn, who I would certainly think is going to move up in the rankings. Of course, if they hold on here and beat NC State, I would expect UConn to be pretty high in the AP poll coming on Monday, but we've got to get through this game first against NC State. NC State, they put up 82 plus in every game so far this season, but they haven't really played anybody. So I think NC State's going to have a tough time with UConn's defense. I don't think they've really played a very good defense yet. So I think they might struggle a little bit early on being able to adjust to UConn's defense. So hopefully the Huskies can come out. Nika Mule can do her thing. Hopefully the whole team create turnovers, cause havoc, get some pressuring every shot that NC State takes. And I think if UConn takes control of this game early, and they can get grind out the third and fourth quarter, I think that's the recipe for success.
I think you're right. River Baldwin, the graduate student on this roster, and then you have Mimi Collins. We all remember her, right? Jada Boyd, Diamond Johnson, right? But I think if you look, I want to focus on the sophomore out of Farmington, Minnesota. That is Sophie Hart, and she's 6'5", and I think what has me a little bit concerned about Wes Moore's team coming into this game is actually the Huskies have me concerned because of the size down below. I mean, this team is stacked, and we just went over it yesterday about this UConn Huskies team trying to adapt and with the Berry sitting out so often, and it's just like, man, the teams with more and more, it seems like as far as the ranked teams go, and then not only that, as far as the teams in conference in the Big East, along with the UConn Huskies, it just seems like the size gets bigger and bigger and bigger, the height, So I'm just a little bit concerned because you have a lot of guards, that is, forwards, centers, forwards, centers. If I can talk here, forwards, centers, and guards on this roster, North Carolina State, that they can bring it. They can bring the heat, and we saw that last season, right? Even though some players are going, and I'm just kind of wondering, man, is this North Carolina State even faster and taller than Texas, even though they're number 10?
Yeah, and I mean, if we were talking about this 2 or 3 years ago, I would be really concerned about UConn's size. But I think for this year, they've shown improved, like I mentioned in that game against Texas, and that's why I'm really not that nervous for this game against NC State because they prove they can deal with a team that has a lot of size and depth. Talking about that Texas Longhorns team, so I'm pretty confident going into this game that UConn can deal with NC State's size and depth. And Sophie Hart coming off the bench, you mentioned her, the sophomore, 6'5". She's going to get a lot of minutes for this team. I noticed she
Oh
plays
yeah.
quite a bit through
Mhm.
their first 4 games, but The way that Nika Mule plays, she's not that tall, but she plays like she's about 6'8", and nobody can get by her at all. But Leah Edwards, Dorka Juhas, it's going to be important for them to crash the boards in this game, play good defense down low, and of course, Aubrey Griffin, Ayanna Patterson coming off the bench. It's going to be important for them to do the same thing and maybe provide a little offense, of course, for UConn. AZ Fudd, hopefully she can keep this up, keep up the averaging 29 points a game. They're going to need it for this game against NC State. But yeah, I mean, it should be a really fun matchup. I'm sure NC State is fired up for this game, especially since how they lost that game last season. So it should be a lot of fun.
Going back to some comments from the Paige Beckers scheduled for homecoming in 2023 video. Ryan, I'll read you all some comments and we can get on out of here. I know you're ready to get some lunch in your stomach, right? Aaron Davis goes, congratulations to number 32 Swing Cash. I loved it when you told your son to say bleed blue. The love was in the house with the video shootouts and former Huskies present like Asia Jones, Ashley Battle, and Steph Dolson, to name a few. Huskies for life.
Yeah, I bet that ceremony was really special to see, especially in person. So I wish I could have seen it in person, but I saw it on the TV there, and it looked like a pretty special ceremony. So, of course, anytime a player gets elected into the Hall of Fame, and of course their number gets retired, it's going to be something special. Like we mentioned, it's only happened to two other players down there in UConn. So for Swing Cash to get her number retired, that's really something special.
Yeah, how about DN Lizzie 88? DN Lizzie 88. Hey, Phil and Rye, I have seen everyone hanging in the rafters play their whole career at UConn and cannot be prouder of our girls. We were disrespected yet again. There is no way you can have us anything lower than number 2 seed. Seeing how we lost to South Carolina in the title game, right now we look like the best team in the nation. South Carolina cannot shoot from the outside. We are more complete than them, but we will see in February. Great work, fellas.
We will indeed see when UConn does play South Carolina. I can't wait for that matchup. I mean, that's a pretty bold statement, but like they mentioned, I would agree that UConn deserves to be number 2. Of course, if they can beat NC State on Sunday, I do think they deserve to be number 2, showing that they handled Texas pretty well, and if they handle NC State, I think they deserve to receive a huge boost for the AP poll in week 2. But until somebody knocks off South Carolina this season, I think South Carolina deserves to have the number 1 spot. I think they've been playing pretty well. I have noticed they haven't been shooting quite as well maybe as last season, but like I mentioned, until someone knocks them off, I think they're going to be number 1 all season long.
For the comments about this is Shorian. For the comments about Amari, a thought. I know Gino is rookie coach. I guess they're being sarcastic here. I know Gino is rookie coach with no real credit to his name. Okay, yeah, well, we know better than that. But I think he knows what he is doing. Well, yeah, I told you that yesterday. I think that without a doubt, we're not even discussing head coaching. We're not scratching our head when it comes to Gino.
No, not at all.
Like this, Ryan. Scratch your head for me.
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned yesterday in that episode, Gino certainly knows what he's doing. And that's why I think it's something that might be going on behind the scenes, that maybe Amari isn't playing well in practice, or she's not, playing up to Gino's expectations. So I think it's more than just, Gino doesn't want to play Amari DeBerry. I think it's a little more behind the scenes, maybe in practice. But I mean, hopefully Amari can kind of get into a rhythm and hopefully see more minutes. And of course, like I mentioned yesterday as well, if there's any injuries to that backcourt, I think Amari immediately gets more minutes, obviously. But for right now, we'll see what happens in NC State in that game. But I really don't think that Amari is going to see a lot of minutes going down in the stretch, especially if we see these tight ball games.
Another one from Shurion. You're gonna have fun with this. Oh my God. Someone must have made some negative comments about Paige Beckers, which I'm glad that you and I didn't see that, because we would be on them very quickly, right? We would be having heated discussions with them. Shurian goes, "Oh my God, Paige wasn't creating for her team. Give me a break. Only the single game, uh, only the single game and season record holder for assists. People make me crazy. This is why Gino is the head coach, and they sit at home getting fat on beer and pizza." Ryan, do you get fat on beer and pizza?
Well, I certainly try not to, that's for sure. But I
I've
certainly
never seen you crack open a cold Bud Light yet, but I'm sure the day is coming, because you get stressed when these UConn Huskies are on.
Oh man, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean people go really hard in those comments, when you leave a negative comment about one of the players, they certainly go back and forth. We love to see it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, for Paige Beckers, I know obviously all of us wish she could have played this season, but uh, hopefully for next season she's able to get back and join the team. That's why we can't wait for next season, of course. But
Yeah.
she's obviously a very special player. We said it 1,000 times. So hopefully these two injuries and back-to-back kind of seasons, I guess, or one during the season and off season, hopefully it doesn't affect her game too much. I know she's been shooting and shoot around and practicing, so I'm very confident she can return to that level we saw in her freshman year.
Last one. Thanks, Sharon, for commenting. Sharon goes, "Does this mean Paige will leave after next year? She will be a redshirt junior next year, not a senior." Well, I don't think she's leaving, right? I think it just means that she's returning to her hometown where she was born.
Yeah, I mean she's definitely returning for next year, but it is an interesting kind of topic for debate
Yeah.
if she's going to
Yeah.
leave after the season next year. And of course, if she stays healthy and has a good season as a redshirt junior, it's hard to tell whether she'll stay for her a senior year or not. But we all certainly hope she does. But if she decides to enter the draft, that's great for her. But hopefully we can see a title before Paige Beckers leaves.
Prediction time. This is what Austin loves. It's what Ryan, everybody loves it. Ryan loves it. I love it. Prediction time. Ryan, I'll go and tell you right now, I'm going UConn in this game Sunday. And I'll tell you why. Speed kills. And I will always 99% of the time back that up, especially 100% of the time right here, right now, because AZ Fudd is showing me something special that we never thought would happen this quick, right? I'm going UConn. Oh man, this is a tough one, Ryan. I'm going 90. I'm going 90 to we'll go 90 to 70. How's that? 90 to 70. UConn all over North Carolina State. North Carolina State, just no answers. No answers. No answers as far as revenge from last season. And I'm going how about Fudd again? And you can copy off of me if you like. I'm going Fudd again as that star player of the game.
Well, I like that. Until she has a bad game, why wouldn't you pick
Why
her as
not?
the
Huh?
star of the
It's
game?
like I'm in Vegas. Just keep on putting my money in the machine and
Yeah, and
betting
it
on it.
keeps paying off for sure.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I certainly agree with that. UConn has proven through the first two games, and certainly against Texas, it's going to be hard to out hustle the Huskies and beat them in transition. So I also have UConn in this game. I'm going to go 81 to 70. I think it's going to be a little closer, maybe not as high scoring. I'm going to go 81-70. Player of the game, why not? I'll jump on the boat here and go AZ Flood with you.
Go Fudd.
She's
There
been
you go.
playing so amazing,
Uh,
averaging 29. Why not? Let's go AZ Flood.
I like it, Ryan. All right. Have a great weekend. I can't wait to see you Sunday for the game recap. I'll be looking forward to that. I know that I can't wait. And then we all can't wait to see your smiling face, Ryan. I appreciate all your help. For Austin, Anita, Phil Becerra, Ryan Renner, and Ryan, have a great not football weekend, UConn Huskies basketball weekend. We'll see you next week.